I read an unofficial Among Us novel.
A mongoose.
Okay, I didn't read it, I listened to it, but still, I listened to an unofficial Among Us novel, and I know it's not what I usually do, but the books I'm reading are really big, and this was something I could listen to whilst I was like playing video games. And you know what? It wasn't terrible. Yes, it is a children's book, so I went into this thinking, okay, this is a children's book, I'm not expecting to read, I don't know, Jane Eyre or No Country for Old Men. Of course I wasn't. I was reading a book about Among Us. It aimed at children, and it was self-published because it's an unofficial Among Us novel. I'm going to put a link to it down below. I don't know if you can purchase the physical book, but you might be able to get the audiobook as well. Again, I mean, I used Audible, don't shoot me, but, you know, I listened to it. It wasn't horrible. Obviously, me listening to it as an adult who I think I played Among Us like twice during lockdown, and I wasn't very good at it because I'm not good at lying to my friends. My definitive review of this is, if you have a child who likes Among Us and doesn't read very much and you want to get them to read, they could probably read this. By child, I mean probably, I don't know how complex it was. There is discussion of death in it, so maybe like a 10, it doesn't seem advanced enough for a 10-year-old. Maybe a 7 to 10-year-old, maybe. I mean, if you don't mind your kids, you know, there being discussion of death and stuff. But it was just... So... It's set in the future, which I didn't even know Among Us was set in the future, but I really should have, you know, realised Among Us is probably set in the future. There's a lot of Among Us lore, which I don't know if it's actual lore from Among Us or it was made up for this book, because it seemed like it would fit in Among Us of the 2 times I played it. Obviously it went into all the things you do in Among Us. You do the little, you know, blah, 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 the little fix the vents or something, the asteroids, I remember that one. It does give some backstory. Again, I don't know if this is official Among Us lore. There's like space cats, and the cats are all leathery. That was actually a very nice touch. I actually appreciated that because it built the world, and it made the world feel actually lived in. Again, it's Among Us. They told me the name of the ship. They told me the name of the planet they were going to. I skied, and not Pluto, but began with a P. You know what? I actually fell for the twist in this because there's a lot of good foreshadowing, which I praise, and I actually personally fell for the twist. And that's because I thought, well, it's a children's book, maybe there isn't going to be a big twist. It's just a lot of foreshadowing in there. But actually, there was a very good twist, especially for a child. So I commend that. I commend this book for doing that. It would definitely hold the attention of a child, especially one who liked Among Us. One of my few qualms was the amount of times they used sus. Listen, I know it's an Among Us novelization, or an unofficial Among Us novelization, and they used sus, and I thought, oh, they'd use it once, you know, they'd just sneak it in there and say, oh, XYZ was sus. They used it like 3 times. The first time was within 10 minutes of the audiobook. Towards the end of that 10-minute mark, actually, so I'm surprised they got that far. But they used sus 3 times, and the only context I think sus is fine in this is the first one. The book in itself is written like a diary. Again, I never read Diary of a Wimpy Kid as a kid. I watched the movie, I believe, the first one, probably. Yeah, the one with the cheese touch. I watched that one. So I think Greg's the character in that has a voiceover in that. So I'm assuming Diary of a Wimpy Kid was probably written like a diary. That would make sense. So this was doing that as well. This is Diary of a Crewmate. So it was written like a diary, like they were doing logs, diary logs, crewmate logs. So... okay, that's pretty engaging. I'm sure a child would be able to pick up on that as well because it's first person and it's easy for them to kind of read that. They can immerse themselves in the first person narrative, which is nice as well. So it made sense the first time they said sus because it is the character's thoughts. But then every other time someone says sus, it is through dialogue. So there is dialogue, but it's the first person writing the dialogue. So obviously, if we were going to do an in-depth analysis of this, the dialogue may not be trustworthy because it's written in a first person narrative, and it might be, the author, the character of Lime, I believe the Lime, is misremembering things. Like Great Gatsby, Nick isn't a reliable narrator because, he is like in love with Gatsby. Similar thing here, but not to that degree. So in-depth analysis aside, because this is a children's book, and it's not a children's book that's trying to be, the next Earthsea. It is two people, Mark Powers and Erica Winters, I hope I mentioned them at the beginning of this, writing an Among Us book for kids. I'm sure it did fairly well. There's a sequel, I believe. There might be more than one. I was just looking on Goodreads, and I believe there's a sequel called, like, The Imposter's Revenge. It does touch on the drama of Among Us, where, people are accusing each other of things. So, it does the whole Among Us thing very well. If there was an official novelization of Among Us for children, I actually wouldn't put it past this sort of book being that. It hits on Among Us. It does all the things you do in Among Us. It will probably motivate a child to play more Among Us, to buy more Among Us merch. But yeah, it does its job fine. Obviously, it's, again, like I said, it's not Earthsea, it's not Jane Eyre, it's not Redwall. I'm only naming mostly fantasy children's books because that's all I can remember. But it does a serviceable job. If your kid likes Among Us and you want them to read a book or want them to listen to a book, pop this on or give this to them. It's meant to be 100 pages or 60 minutes of an audiobook. It's like 53 minutes. It's a short thing they can get through. You want to just entice them into reading, you can do that. That is my recommendation for this book. If you have a kid that likes Among Us, you can pop this on for them or buy this for them. Link will be in the description down below, I hope, if it works. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I will get back to the regular scheduled content on this channel, but I thought I'd be sus for once in one of my videos. So thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share with a family member, and hey, remember, make sure you read a really sus book today.